Imagine a world where the boundaries of reality bend and twist, where the calm of the mystical realm collides with the madness of Gotham City. What if Dr. Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, opened a portal into this chaotic world? A place ruled by crime, darkness, and the most notorious villain of them all, the Joker. In today's video, we dive deep into this crossover, exploring what would happen if Dr. Strange found himself face-to-face with the Clown Prince of Crime. From a tear in reality to a battle of wits, prepare for an unexpected clash of powers, minds, and madness. So sit back, relax, and get ready to step into a world where magic meets mayhem.
The Eye of Agamotto glowed with an eerie green light as Dr. Stephen Strange traced intricate sigils in the air. The Sanctum Sanctorum was silent, save for the hum of arcane energy crackling through the air. Strange had spent days researching a way to bridge dimensions, not merely between realms, but between entire realities. And tonight, he was ready to test his theory. With a final twist of his wrist, a golden portal shimmered into existence before him. At first, it looked like any other dimensional rift he had summoned before, a swirling vortex of energy linking two worlds together. But something was different. Instead of the familiar cosmic pathways or shadowed mystical realms, the other side revealed a sprawling city, drenched in perpetual darkness, neon lights flickering ominously against the rain-slicked streets. Gotham City.
Strange furrowed his brow. He had heard of Gotham before, not in books of sorcery, but in whispers from other realities. A city plagued by corruption, ruled by criminals, and watched over by a relentless guardian clad in black. It was not a place where magic thrived. It was a place where madness reigned. Before he could reconsider his decision, the portal wavered. Something was pulling at it from the other side, like a clawed hand scraping at the fabric of reality. And then, without warning, Strange felt himself being yanked through. The portal snapped shut behind him. Dr. Strange landed on a damp rooftop with a controlled roll, his crimson cloak of levitation billowing around him. The sounds of the city were immediate and overwhelming. Police sirens wailed in the distance, gunshots echoed through the alleys, and the murmur of countless voices filled the air. Gotham was alive in its own twisted way, pulsating with crime and chaos. He stood, surveying his surroundings. The skyline was jagged, punctuated by Gothic spires and grotesque gargoyles leering down at the streets below. Smog and rain blended together, casting an ethereal haze over the entire city. He turned his gaze downward. A group of men in dark suits huddled in a nearby alley, exchanging briefcases and hushed words. He could sense the stench of corruption, the weight of fear that clung to the city like an unshakable curse. Then, laughter. Not the joyful kind. Not even the laughter of a man who had simply lost his mind. No, this was something far worse. It echoed unnaturally, creeping into the bones like a chilling breeze in the dead of winter. Strange tensed. He had fought demons, gods, and eldritch horrors, but something about this sound unsettled him in a way he couldn't quite explain. And then, from the depths of the shadows, a figure emerged. The Joker stepped forward, his lanky frame swaying slightly, as if he were moving to the rhythm of some unheard tune. His purple coat billowed in the night breeze, and his white-painted face stretched into an exaggerated grin. His eyes, however, were the most unsettling part. Cold, calculating, and filled with something infinitely unpredictable. Well, what do we have here? The Joker's voice was almost playful, but it carried an edge, a razor-thin line between amusement and malice. You're definitely not from around here, are you? Dr. Strange remained composed, his eyes locked onto the clown. Who are you? He asked, though he already had an idea. He had read about Gotham's infamous criminals, and this man's reputation preceded him. The Joker threw his hands in the air dramatically. Oh, come on. The cape, the fancy hand gestures, the I'm too serious for this nonsense attitude. You're practically screaming mystic mumbo-jumbo. He leaned in slightly, voice lowering. But me? I'm just a guy who likes to have a little fun. Strange could feel it now. There was no magic in the Joker, no supernatural force behind his madness. And yet there was something deeply unnatural about him. The Sorcerer straightened. I don't have time for games. The Joker clapped his hands together, laughing. Oh, that's the thing, Doc. Gotham is one big game, and you, my friend, just landed on the board. So, the question is, his grin widened. Are you ready to play? Before Strange could respond, the air was filled with the sound of rapid footsteps. The sorcerer's senses flared. Danger was closing in. From the surrounding rooftops, armed thugs emerged, their guns trained on him. A carefully laid ambush. "Aw, don't look so surprised," the Joker said, twirling a playing card between his fingers. "Gotham's full of surprises, and I do love to keep things interesting." Strange's hands glowed with eldritch energy as he prepared a spell, but before he could unleash it, the Joker snapped his fingers. A sudden explosion erupted from below, sending a shockwave through the building. Strange barely had time to react as the rooftop beneath him crumbled, sending him plummeting into the darkness below. The last thing he heard before impact was the Joker's cackling laughter, echoing through the night like a ghostly refrain. Strange awoke in darkness. His head throbbed, and his hands were bound by thick metal restraints, pulsing with an odd frequency, disrupting his ability to cast spells. The walls around him were padded, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and something else. Something rotten. Then the door creaked open. The Joker entered, sauntering in with exaggerated movements, holding a silver platter covered with a polished dome. "Rise and shine, sunshine," he chirped. "I made you breakfast." With a theatrical flourish, he lifted the dome to reveal nothing, just an empty plate. And yet the Joker laughed as if it were the funniest thing in the world. Strange sighed, straining against his restraints, his eyes never leaving the Joker. The tension in the room was palpable, and the air seemed to thrum with an unsettling frequency. The Joker pouted dramatically, his expression shifting from mock disappointment to sinister amusement. "Oh, Doc, you wound me. Here I am, throwing you a welcome party, and you don't even appreciate it," he taunted, leaning in closer, his eyes glinting with mischief. Strange stared back, unyielding, his resolve as firm as ever. "You won't break me," he replied, his voice steady despite the circumstances. The Joker's grin widened, his laughter echoing through the room with an unsettling resonance. "Break you? No, my dear sorcerer. I just want to see what happens when a man who bends reality meets a man who bends minds." The room's lights flickered wildly, and Strange felt the walls begin to shift, twisting into a labyrinth of impossible geometry. The real game had just begun. Dr. Strange's heart raced as the walls around him twisted and warped. His hands were still bound, but the energy from his core surged, pushing against the metal restraints. His mind raced for a solution. He needed to escape. The Joker's laughter filled the space as the world around him seemed to unravel. The room stretched into impossible dimensions, the geometry breaking down into chaotic swirls. Strange's senses screamed, but he focused, reaching deep into the well of his power. The Joker was still humming a bizarre tune, as if enjoying the show. "Don't worry, Doc. You'll get used to it. Reality has a funny way of changing here. It's all a joke after all." Strange's senses screamed, but he focused, reaching deep into the well of his power. Strange's eyes narrowed, and with a sudden twist of his wrist, the metal bindings shattered into 1,000 pieces. The mystical energies surged from his hands, wrapping around his body like a protective shield. The floor beneath him began to shift, rising like a tidal wave of jagged concrete and twisted steel, threatening to consume him. But Strange was faster. His cloak of levitation fluttered to life, lifting him high above the chaos as he reached for the fragmented pieces of the world around him. With a powerful force of will, he summoned the magic of the Sanctum Sanctorum, pulling the fractured dimensions back into a cohesive whole. The maze of impossible shapes collapsed into a single point, and with a forceful flick of his fingers, he tore open a rift in space itself. The Joker's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, that's new! How fun!" Strange didn't wait for another word. He stepped through the portal, leaving the Joker's twisted world behind. As the portal closed with a snap, the laughter of the Clown Prince of Crime faded into silence. Strange found himself standing on the rooftops of Gotham once again. The rain still falling, the city still dark, but something had changed. His escape had left a mark on this reality, and Strange knew that this world, this chaotic, corrupt place, would never be the same.